I'm not the chef. Who booked this podcast? I'm not the chef.
What's going on? What's going on?
This is the wrong James Martin you've got here, mate.
Jesus.
This cooking podcast is not going to work, man.
Do you know, every time I say to somebody, one of my mentors, James Martin, they go, James Martin, I'll go,
I didn't know you like cooking.
It's not that James Martin.
It's the other.
And at some point, somebody's going to turn around to me and go, James Martin, the entrepreneur. It'll be him, won't it?
Yeah, thanks very much for that, mate.
That's gonna happen. James, you've got a large range of entrepreneurial interests and business interests, and one of the things that I'm really keen to get out of you is, how do you see AI, and I'm going to use the phrase, disrupting your businesses, perhaps over the next 2 years or so?
I think it already is. You know, we've been talking for, say, the last 3 years that AI is coming, but I think it's very much here, and you can see that in the different scaling of the products that are out there. There's this version, that version, so I think it's here. I think it is absolutely going to be crucial to be embedded in our communication systems, in the way of advertising, in the way that we do our website interaction. For agents to come and scroll and scrape from our websites, they need to be fit for them agents to come and do that. I think it is going to be the ones that don't pay attention to it will be left behind, because I think it is moving at such a high speed. And as I reiterate, it's absolutely here. You know, and you know, if you're not getting on the journey to start understanding the proprietary language and what it can do, you're not in the room. You know, I think you've got to be very careful as a business owner what you wish for. If you're not prepared to put that energy into what is the future of my business going to look like, the innovation will end up in evaporation.
And as a business owner, what are you doing specifically as the founder of a number of businesses? What are you doing specifically to upskill yourself in this proprietary language at the moment? I'm
very lucky that I run entrepreneurs dinners, I run masterclasses, I speak to people in my DMs or on my socials, because that's what my handle is James Martin Entrepreneur. So I'm able to, at my tender young age, to then interact with all of these people that are ahead of the curve and are deep in AI and how it's affecting them, how it's affecting business and their skill set they're doing. So it is my number one digestible. I'm watching it on YouTube. I'm speaking to you as a subcontractor to us. You're almost on a retainer into us now for our businesses to give us stewardship, do reviews on the different businesses. We've picked one business at the moment that you're working on with us, is the big luxury wedding venue. We're adding, agents in that, and I think we've got a little bit more to do into the future of that as we get the digestible of that AI implementation with the culture of the team. I don't want to frighten the team. We had a big conversation about how we don't want to spook anyone that's already existing there and frighten them off the intervention of it into their world, or them being worried that they're going to lose their job because the AI agent's coming to take over all the work. Well, we're in the service industry, that's clearly not going to happen. It's actually going to give us more time to work on our customers, because the AI technology is doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes.
And then, you mentioned the mentorship there. You run a number of very successful businesses. One of the things that you do is Baddow Park Mastermind. Do you find that the members within that group, is AI on their radar, or is it something that they're starting to explore? I'm just trying to get a feel for how the business community is starting to react to this at the moment.
I think the membership that we've got and the partners that we have in Baddow Park Mastermind, they're of a different calibre. They are £2 million plus businesses. The audit has to be done on their businesses before they're allowed to come in the room, so they can add value to the rest of the room. all of the people that are in that room with us are absolutely hungry to learn more about it, because they can realise the value of the future, and in some of their businesses, the threat to not do it, and also how they retweak their model to compromise it and to complement it and to make sure that it is adding value for them going into the future, and they're not being left behind, Matt.
No, absolutely. And I mean, that's one of my sort of key philosophies really, is that you really need to use AI to free up your humans to do their best work. And, you know, people want to see progress. If you're within a company, humans just want to see progress. They want to see that they're moving from A to Z. It doesn't necessarily matter what the speed of that is. I think that varies for everybody. But humans want to see progress. And if they can see a blocker like AI coming down the road, that's, you know, I think that is really going to have a negative effect
I wonder
on them.
Who you mean when you say humans, though. Do you mean the humans that own the businesses, or the humans that work in the businesses?
I think the humans that work in the businesses. I think AI is going to be so disruptive. It's going to be so disruptive to a number of different roles, different job titles, right the way across the world, that, you know, it's going to make them feel really uneasy. So not only are they going to be made to feel uneasy at work, but they're also going to start to experience AI and what it can do for them out of work, and how that makes their life easier. So I think it's going to be really, really challenging over the next couple of years.
I think the education of that isn't there yet, mainstream, for the worker, if you like, the person that turns up and works every day. I employ lots and lots of staff. They are from all different bandwidths of Gen Z right the way through to millennium. So their digestible of it and their want to embrace it is very different at different age groups. And I think sometimes humans commonly don't want change. I don't want to change. I don't want to have to work to make my life easier, this, that and the other. But I think what's missing, Matt, is the education to where the advantages are, as opposed to just seeing that there is change is coming. Oh, God, change. I don't want to do change. Got to learn how to use the new upgrade on my iPhone. You don't do the upgrade. Have you seen what it does? Well, if you frame it like that, then it will be like that. If you frame it like, wow, there's a new upgrade, let's go for it. So it's how you frame it. So therefore, it's, as business owners, it's how we frame it to our teams to be conducive to the change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And I've seen that with businesses that I consult in as well, where they've just parachuted me in at last minute. I've walked through the door. Today we've got Matt, and he's going to be talking to us about AI. It that upsets a lot of people.
They either freak out or yawn.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, you spend a lot of time putting their mind at rest to get them basically to engage with you, because if they're not going to engage with you and they're not going to pull the information into that discussion that you need, it's going to create real problems for you. I'd like to interrupt the podcast just for a moment to tell you about a little something that I think will add real value to your week. Every Sunday at 5 o'clock, I can deliver directly to your inbox my newsletter. The AI space is just moving so quickly at the moment that this newsletter is full of my philosophies, my tips, my tricks, and all the latest trends. There's a link in the description below on how to sign up. Now let's get back to the pod. So I guess I'm interested in your background, how you've got to where you are today, because we had a very similar sort of start in that I ran a tree surgery business, you ran a tree surgery business, you've scaled and grown a number of businesses. That journey, where did that journey start for you?
I mean, you go way back, and it was being heavily hampered at school by dyslexia, and I'm proper dyslexic. I don't read or write my name and address today. So you put me in that focus situation of a passport form or stuff like that. I cannot do that. I just can't do that, especially if I'm in a post office with people queuing behind me and the woman waiting me to fill it out. That floors me. I can't do it. So I took the opportunity to just turn that reading button off, put that to one side. It was holding me back as a little human being going into the future. And I wanted to go into the future and do stuff. So, that was 14. I sort of disrupted school, kicked out of school. By the time I was sort of 18, 19, I had 20, 30 men working for me, cutting grass. We didn't have any work in the winter.
How do you go from, in such a small space of time, from next to no one to 20?
Because I lived in a pub, Matt, and I had customers from the pub. I had empathy from the pub. My parents were scared of what this kid's going to become if he can't read or write. So there was a little group of people that were supporting me around there. Oh, come and cut my grass, Sonny Jim. Come and do this. Come and wash my car. And eventually we built up this sort of, I could see a man in a van wasn't going to cut it, because all you ended up with was a fistful of dollars at the end of the week and knackered, and it needed to be that we had more structure to it. And, we got into the breweries through the pub. So we used to do all the pubs. We had like 300 pubs that we used to look after their beer garden and hanging baskets. We were in the local authorities in Kensington with a big charity group doing all their hanging baskets, the Brighter for Kensington and Chelsea charity. And we got involved in all these things because of my lack of SWOT analysis that I could do quietly on my own. My only way to learn was to absolutely get amongst people and rub up against other people to digest energy. How'd you do it? What'd you do it? I was the annoying kid that just asked a million questions or just hung around something because I wanted to learn it. And that's kind of what happened. And it just sort of progressed and bloomed from there. And because I would always ask people to read the menu, can you read the instructions how to put it together for me? And I got quite... It didn't interrupt my flow to commonly just ask people to do stuff for me. So it made me a very good delegator. I was good at delegation with smiles and honey and sugar. I could do that delegation work, and that I got very slick at. And my personable skills were shit hot for doing that.
Did you think you at some point in those early years then you realised that the dyslexia is actually a superpower?
Yeah, I mean, it's bandied about, superpower, this, that and the other. Dyslexic,
term,
autistic, ADHD. I put them all in the same melting pot. The brain is not the same. The brain is not the same. People digest information in different ways, and the receptors are different. The dendrites and ganglions of the brain have different telegraph poles on. It moves around differently. The thing that Oliver, my videographer, liked me saying on a pod the other day is we all have the same amount of brain cells, but mine are in different rooms, in different places of different sizes. And sometimes that information struggles to hard fix in the different rooms that it moves around in. And that the dyslexia, I do think it is that, Matt, but I don't want to lean on it all the time every day, because I ended up having to make very commercial decisions in my when I was 19, to moving from domestic work to commercial work. And then we moved back into domestic work because we realised the commercial work paid sort of 60 days, where domestic work paid on Friday. So we moved back into it. And we were doing other things. We created a big nursery that sold trees and transplanted big trees. And that world was very good for me.
And at that point in your career, had you sort of identified that finding mentors and people that were further ahead with you was a smart thing to do and be drawn towards, or did that sort of happen by accident? Because it seems like you developed all those personable those skills and those, I've seen you at work. You're a master at moving through rooms and interacting with people. And do you think that perhaps that almost came across as cocky in the younger days, and that helped you find the right people? Because I'm thinking back to when I was that age, and I was very confident, but I actually wasn't that sure on where I was going or what I was doing.
I think what you alluded to right at the beginning of that question was that did I do it by accident? It was absolutely by accident. There was no design. I wasn't reading a book and then actioning from the book. There was nothing to read because I couldn't read. So it was only later in my late 30s did audio books and I was buying discs of Brian Tracy, it went up and being sent from America to me, but I think it happened by accident. I was very hungry to not look like a dickhead.
Yeah.
So if there was something I was going to go and do, I wanted to do a bit of research, and the only way I could do research was to go somewhere else where they did it and watch them and listen to them. It wasn't go and get a book on it, because I couldn't read the book. So I commonly would end up, I went one day and just picked up a high-vis in Newham Council in their offices downstairs. It was just one laying around. Put it on. I just went out for the men in the day. They'd never even asked me who I was. Yeah. I went on a tree surgery crew all day with them and just worked like that. And no one even bothered to ask me who I was.
Yeah.
There was about 8 people all on the road doing some footpath clearance or something like that. Nobody asked me. And I'm going, oh, I see. So you do that. So you put it all on the truck the same way, so it isn't hard to pull off the truck and whack and stack. There wasn't chippers back then. And you do that, and that's a dolly knot, and you rope down like this. And I was just picking all this stuff up. And then, we spoke pre-chat about the thing that really accelerated me into the world of arboriculture was sponsoring the arboricultural conference and finding that annual place to meet everybody and learn from experiences of what they were. They were top dogs in their field, and I started being one of them, and I was part of the setup. And I also recruited lots of tree officers that then became my line managers.
So, pulling it back to AI really just becomes another thing to learn, another skill set to bolt on in that.
We were buying Xero early.
Yeah,
we were an early adopter of Xero. We were absolutely doing that. We were all the new technologies when we could see them coming up. We would really look. Can we make an advantage early on early adoption? And we were doing. I had adverts at the cinema for tree surgery work. I mean,
wow.
It's unbelievable. It used to get us a ton of work.
Yeah.
And we would do all weird. So if it was something new and shiny, and we are like that as entrepreneurs, what can advance us quicker into the market? Well, it's called AI.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that links to my next question really, which was, do you think that AI is going to make it easier for people to start and develop and grow a business?
Oh, absolutely.
If you were 19 now.
Yeah. Absolutely. You'll be able to do your research and development in your bedroom before you even put an ad up. Absolutely. But I think, Matt, you need to have a good model that has robust, why can I never say this word, longevity into the future? What's the right word of saying it? Longevity into the future. Because it needs to be robust and safe, that it's not going to get kicked off its keel. And we talked earlier on the pre-chat about what businesses aren't going to survive, and there's plenty of them out there. So if you're starting from your bedroom today, AI is going to actually answer that question for you. Just ask them that question, and Claude will come back and tell you the businesses and a list of the top 20 to get into.
And the interesting thing about that is that if you are not a good communicator and you've not built up those communication skills, you're actually even going to struggle to interact with AI. Because so many people are, I'm going to use the word prompt. I don't like prompting. I prefer interacting. But so many people are prompting these AI models and these AI tools incorrectly at the moment, which means that they get a crap result and then they focus on this crap idea and this crap model, and off they go down the motorway. And sometimes it's weeks before they realise that actually what they've built is useless. We spoke a little bit earlier about there's a real gold rush at the moment of people creating very basic pieces of software very cheaply and trying to sell it to their peers. I just can't see any of that being sustainable. No. It's just not going to be sustainable.
I think the tools that you need for futurising your business are probably a handful, of what's out there now available. 5 or 6 there might be that you could implement very quickly, but you cannot do that as a layman on your own. I find that, if you think you're smart ass to do it, I've been very good, Matt, through my whole career. If we're moving into a different sector or doing something else, get someone that has the real proof of the pudding. They're actually doing it, they're running it, they've been it. You can see on their backstory they've been successful doing in what you're asking them to come in and third eye for you. And get a structured report that you can then all talk about. And we can, or have the person come in and consult with your team, so we can have a conversation. And a lot of it is about learning a new language or a new approach with something. Or, we were here at the big wedding venue that I own here. There's a whole new language about wedding. And you need to learn this language so you can get in the scene, man, and start understanding the nuances. What dry hire means, what bar percentages are, what food and beverage looks like, how it works, turning a room. They're all languages that I never really come across before, but that's what you need to do.
Yeah, no, 100%. What are you seeing coming across your sort of desk, for want of a better description, at the moment, that's really exciting to you, and you're thinking, I could really leverage this, I could plug this into my business?
Storage. Yeah. The storage model. You and I were away in the south of France with Scott, that has a big storage company. He does all shipping containers. Is it called the Pink Storage Company? We were having this discussion yesterday. Or the Mauve Storage Company. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, they're all.
Anyway, Scott had technology at the gates there that was all going on with cameras and how you could pay monthly, and you could literally, it was completely manless. There was nobody there. It was all automated. But storage, I think, is exciting because it can be AI controlled, but AI can't do what the actual thing is the shipping containers for people to hoard stuff in. I was going to say a rude word then, but they can hoard their stuff in it. And when you look at the stats of America, and we kind of follow through with the Americanization of where we are here in the UK, we are not even got out the gate on what storage is required in chimney pot areas of density. And that might be for business and also for domestic. And you're almost taking a commercial rental of a building on a flat floor format, and then you're putting it in multiple layers with technology and mezzanine, and then you're reselling it at a domestic price rate that is like 4 times the commercial rate would have been. So it's very exciting in that respect.
And is, like, I guess, in your thinking now, when you're looking at opportunities like that, are you thinking with a sort of an AI first mentality? What can I do to help me get an advantage using these?
Do you know what I'm thinking?
tools?
I'm thinking, how many staff do I not want to employ? Because the government at the moment, with the charges on staff, is just hitting us so hard. It is punitive to our bottom line. So I'm looking at vending machines, vending machine shops. You go to Japan, they're everywhere. So let's have vending machine shops called the vending machine shop, where you just pull up like it would be a gas station, but it's not. It's just a store at the side of the road. It's got AI cameras in it. You open the whole door, you take exactly what you want, you close the door, it takes it off your card. There's no one there. You just got one guy supplying all of those machines in his run of stock, and he's doing that each day, just going around topping everything up. What a great business.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know within my businesses now, I do very much have a, and because I'm in it, obviously, but I do have an AI first mentality. When anybody comes to me with a problem now, I'm like, how can I solve this with AI and automation? I have been challenged on that before, because I think sometimes it can be a little bit easier to solve problems with technology than have those difficult conversations with staff or employ the right people. And I think as we move into this sort of AI era, it's still going to be incredibly important to have the right people in the right roles, but it's just supporting them with the correct tools and with the correct pieces of software. And I mean, with that being said, is there anything that you're using at the moment or you've seen tool-wise, sort of AI automation tool-wise, that is making your life easier as a founder, as an entrepreneur in your sort of day-to-day business life?
Yeah, I mean, I'm using Siri because I just talk to Siri about things that I want to get on with. and she will then just say, well, shall I check that with chat? And I go, yeah, check it out. They come back, and we're almost having a conversation with like my buddy in the car as I'm going along, to almost use as a sounding board sometimes for some of the things that I'm thinking about. And I just feel that it's almost what I've always liked is a third eye opinion.
Yeah.
And what are the real stats? I heard it was that, or was that just an urban myth? And they'll tell me the truth. And the truth is the stats are up to date are this. And I go, oh, that's not what I thought at all. Or, oh, it's bigger than I thought, or whatever. So I use that. All of my managing directors now have all got Claude, the up-to-date version that you pay for. They're all using that, and they're being schooled in that of how to use it properly. And it goes back, Matt, to what you said. Ask better interfacing questions for better results. Don't be shirky on it. You know, you need to colour the palette of the questions so you get a better result back.
Absolutely. What is sort of one thing, thinking about your sort of current businesses that you're operating at the moment, where do you think that you could, if money no object, skill set no object, if you could plug it into your business somewhere at the moment to give you real intelligence, to really help you with business decisions, what would that be?
I think I would like a bot that would talk to me about planning, and they could run a scenario in planning, so I could know whether to sweat on buying something or not. That I could actually put it all in, the location, the thought, ask the AI what I want to do, or did he have a better suggestion for that particular demographic, and see what they'd come back with. And what that would do is go around all of the planning applications for that type of thing, look at all the trips and hills and hazards. But you'd have to, I think that would be an in-house piece of tooling that would be geared and prepped for doing that. And that would then be able to marshal to what pieces of land or warehousing and stuff I buy, and in geographical sense as well.
It's really interesting to get insight into where your mind is, where your mind's
the only
going
reason I
that.
say that is because I love property.
Yeah.
Because I love to keep constantly building up a portfolio of millions of pounds of property to sit back behind me. And the reality is that will then always give you stability to lean on, and it will earn money while you're asleep at night. But what we do day to day is our fast pounds, and those fast pounds are actually what's going to be really, really helped with AI, is because they will have a lot more of the heavy lifting, the interface with the early customer. That'll all be done by the bots and by the agents for us and on our behalf. And I think we thought it was scary, press button too. Say that again. It was all very, very friction and clunky. Well, it's not like that now. It's really not like that now at all. It introduces itself. So for calls we're talking about now, as an AI agent, oh really? It's not a real person. Oh yeah, well that's a bit crap, isn't it? No, it's actually very, very good, because it gets to the point very, very quickly, and it doesn't huff and puff, and it doesn't need to go to the loo, and it doesn't need to have Wednesdays off, and it's always there, and it doesn't get interrupted by another call, and it listens intently to what you're saying. And it won't give up until it gets you a result. And that result might be that it just passes your details to the person that needs to hear what you've got to say. Well, that's brilliant.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I call threshold resistance, which is a digital marketing term, and there is so little resistance for interacting with these tools now, that I just think that people are going to take it and run with it at a hell of a speed. I think it's going to change everybody's lives, not just our lives as business owners. And I remain optimistic that it will be ultimately positive for all of us. And certainly, when we talk about commercial property, that's something you've been helping me with as well through the mastermind. And I used Claude heavily throughout that process, and I've used it for all sorts of business strategic decisions when I'm looking at potential business purchases or acquisitions. Like, here's the accounts, here's this, here's that, this is what I'm thinking, is this a good idea, is it not? It's just so powerful. We
do hear there was someone cribbing the contract about a deposit that had to go back or not go back. You could hear in their email, they might well have said, we have put this through Claude and this is our answer, because there was her speech pattern, and then it went on to this completely different speech pattern, and then she put her tail on the end of it. And, you almost want to say to the client or the customer with the problem, I know you've been on the chat, but actually that doesn't apply in this case because X, Y, and Z. And everybody's got their brother-in-law's solicitor in their pocket because that's how you do it.
Humans are, as I've said a million times, inherently lazy. They're always going to look to protect themselves and go from the cheapest and easiest route from
and that
A
is
to
it.
Z. It still absolutely boggles my mind that out of the 900 million users of just OpenAI, forgetting about Claude, only 5% of people are actually prepared to pay for something that's so powerful, let alone investigate how they could set it up in such a way that it would answer that email in their tone, in their voice, and actually really support them in their business. So there we go. James, thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with me. I really do appreciate it. What's the easiest way for people to get in contact with you? If you want them to.
Yeah, if you want to.
If
you want to follow me on Instagram, James Martin Entrepreneur, or go to our YouTube channels. We've got the podcast is Entrepreneur Conversations, James Martin Entrepreneur Conversations, and you can go to our other YouTube channel that is what? It's James Martin Entrepreneur. But Matt, tail off at the end of this interview, your relationship and how you've worked with my team and stuff like that is invaluable. How you've come in and held their hand through a transition that they thought was going to be very scary and weird and everything else. It's the digestion, and to have someone come in and consult, that's the key.
Yes.
That is the key. Get yourself and spend the money, because to go for a cheap version of what is going to be your future, that's wrong. Go and get the proper person. And the reason we ended up in your lap is because you've already been using it in a very successful business. It's not a theory.
No,
that was the key for me. It wasn't a theory. It was the real thing.
And there's so much talk at the moment. There's so many people jumping on the bandwagon, calling themselves AI consultants, or they've come up with this product and that product. And when you really deep dive into it, they've watched a few Dan Martell YouTube videos, and away they go. And you're going to get found out. And I think the business community and the entrepreneurial community is desperate for help in this particular space at the moment, which is one of the reasons we fired up the podcast.
And rightfully so, because the podcast will give people quick information, because the entrepreneur at these levels can move so much quicker than big institutions. They've got to get this all approved, and is it ethically right, and can we do this, and what about the loss of jobs, and HR's got to be involved. Well, no. These smaller businesses can actually go, boom, proper consultant, move nimbly, and off they're going in the right direction with the right toolkit to make them very competitive to Goliath. And that is crucial as well. And that's actually what the edge is with AI across all of industry, because it makes you so quick.
Yeah,
that's the
speed of adoption, and everybody talks about it in the business community. Fail fast, throw some money at something, test it. If it fails, fine, move on. AI has just poured petrol on that. We can spin up a website, a new business idea, we can test it, we can see if it's working. If it doesn't work, we can kill it, we can move on to the next thing.
Thank you very much for the invite.
Pleasure. Thanks for coming along, and speak to you soon.